Meeting to order. Now time for our land acknowledgement statement. We, the municipality of Red Lake, acknowledge that our foundation and spaces in which we live and maintain are in the lands of the Anishinaabe of Red Lake, the traditional lands of Lac Seul and Wabauskang First Nations, and Treaty 3 territory. As we are all treaty people, we will continue to cherish the reciprocity of all our relationships on these sacred lands and waters. Anyone present may not record video and/or audio tape and/or leave any cell phone on without permission. Item 1.3 is additions. So item 5.4, the group health bylaw, has been added along with item 8.1A, the zoning bylaw RFP. It's now time for the disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof for the agenda for this meeting and for minutes of a meeting in which a member was not in attendance. Seeing none, we will move down to moved by Councillor Paduch, seconded by Councillor Hager. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation and Municipality of Red Lake hereby consider sections 4.1 to 4.5 read and adopt the items. Does any councillor have any questions? And I'll start with Councillor Paduch.
4.5E.
Was that one? Sorry.
4.5E?
4.5E.
4.5E.
E. Just that one?
Yeah.
Councillor
4.5E.
E. Okay. Councillor Christoph. And Councillor Hager.
I'm good.
All right. Hey, Councillor Paduch, floor is yours.
Start. It runs for the rest of the summer. Does that count as a year? And then next year after, or 2 calendar years from the start. That's a little unclear. And then the other question I have in regards to that would be, how are we going to be certain that it's only 2 years?
MCA?
Those are two good questions. So this was the recommendation of the planning committee of 2 years, but you're correct. If maybe if the 2 year starts at the passing of the bylaw, which is tonight, then it's good for till July 21st, 2027. Are they likely to ask for an extension because they're going to be halfway through the summer? And maybe it could look for the remainder of this summer for just 2025 and 2026 and not say 2 years. That's a possibility, because you're right, that creates a little bit of a difficulty. She'll come in and ask for an extension, and then council will feel funny about saying no, because it makes sense if they've set up on the 24th of the weekend and then they have to stop on July.
May I add what the intent was then? So based on the discussion around the table, it was for this summer and the following. So taking it to the end in the fall of 2026.
6.
That was the, I think, of the membership that was present.
So that makes sense. If that could, are we able to amend the bylaw to?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, council, what was your other question?
But just like, how do we, obviously it's, I personally don't have any issues with it. It's just more of a, if we can have something go up, I just don't want to see it keep going and going and going. And it's easier not to build. And how are we going to hold it? How are we going to keep it to that?
To the council, you can't. People say they plan to build, but bricks and mortar is expensive, and then you have a year-round facility that you have to pay utilities on and taxes on, and it looks different than a temporary facility. And I think people are well-meaning to say they want to build, but sometimes it's just not financially viable. I don't know the business, the financial piece of this type of business, but That's a tough decision to make. What are you gonna build and if it, you know, is it going to be a year-round facility? Are you going to be able to cover costs in the winter? So I don't think there's, just because someone says they want to build doesn't necessarily mean when they actually look into it, whether they can afford to build and then maintain the costs associated. I would suspect they might, if they're successful for 2025 and 26, they may come back for another temporary use bylaw, and then council and the planning committee would have to consider what that looks like.
Councillor Gary?
When I read through the staff report, it says that this temporary usage can be up to 3 years. I'm just wondering why the 2 years was discussed and not, or suggested, sorry, not up to 3 years.
I'll refer to Councillor.
I'm on the planning committee. And the 3-year, because there was some concern, some legitimate concerns with regards to what other places are doing, and also with regards to setting precedent, and because there have been issues in the past, they were concerned about having a full 3 years and then having someone come back and ask for an extension, so I think that was why just the nudging forward. I don't know if that's a good enough answer, but that's what it was. It was decided at that point that not the full 3 years.
Councillor Christoph?
Couple questions. So, they own that property, they bought that property, right? Okay, so that's one. The other part that I was looking at was, when I was reading the staff report, was the health and safety, the Northwestern Health Unit, the inspection. So when this was done, there were some no's in there. Has that been looked at, or?
They would have to remain compliant with the health unit at all times.
I mean, Mr. Mayor, in order for them to get their license issued, that documentation has to be with the municipality.
And because I'm not 100% familiar with the food truck industry and that, so do they have to apply for a license through the municipality to have this operating? Yes. And they will be paying taxes because they own the property. Thank you.
Further question? Oh, Councillor Biddick.
So I guess, this past today, are they ready to go right away, or is there paperwork done that's gonna eat up their 1 year?
Yes, I think they've applied for a license, but the license hasn't been granted. Would you agree? So all the work on licensing has to be granted. So my guess is they might be up and running by the weekend in August, maybe a bit earlier. I don't know what they've done in advance. They were certainly present at the Northland Festival, which tells me that they have their health certificate. But the license for operating here still has to be taken care of.
So the question sorry.
Sorry, I just want to, I'd made a comment there about the nose. I just want to clarify that it was not meant to be derogatory or anything like that, saying that they're not up to specs, but I was just questioning on.
General question. Thank you for that. So the question I have for council before us is 2 years. So knowing what we discussed previously about going halfway through a summer in 27, and I'm going through Councillor Hager responded from the planning committee. It was discussed about 25, 26. So the question I have for council is approve the 2 years that's in front of us, or make an amendment to it and say, and December 31st, 26. So it would be inclusive of this year, all of next year, but nothing moving forward as of January 1st, 27. So from direction from council, would that be appropriate? December 31st, 26 for the license purpose and issued for that date? And that could be amended in the document.
We have to do motion as well.
We would have to,
Amend the motion as well.
in the bylaw. Okay.
You said that one more time, sorry.
So before us is the request for 2 years, which would take us to mid-July. So they would have this summer, next summer, and half a summer thereabouts in 27. According to Councillor Hager, who sat on the Planning Advisory Committee, they wanted it really for 25 and 26. So what I'm asking council is, without doing all of the amendments, just carry on and give it to them for mid-27? Or would you like to do an amendment to this and say the change is December 31st, 26, as opposed to July 21st, 27? That's the question I'm throwing out to council.
I say we amend thing to, as that was the discussion that was held at the planning committee, that we amend it to the end of next 26.
Councillor Hager?
I would say that's fine.
Councillor-
It would offer more clarification.
For sure, okay. Councillor Geary, are you good with that change? Councillor Baduk? Good, okay.
Still make that change.
So give us a moment just to make that change. This one's still being. Now, would council like me to read it or?
Yes, please.
So this would be the resolution that we're going to adopt once we go through this. So it's been moved by Councillor Hager, seconded by Councillor Geary, resolved that the Council of the Corporation, the municipality of Red Lake hereby accepts the Planning Advisory Committee recommendation PAC -07-25 to approve the application for temporary use provision D14-25-01, 28 Highway 105 Red Lake to temporarily permit in the highway commercial C3 zone the use of food service trailer on site without the presence of a main use building until December 31st, 2026. What's been scratched off is maximum 2 years. Everyone go with that change? So I will go through the consent agenda just to make sure. Okay, so it's been moved by Councillor Baduk, seconded by Councillor Hager. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation Municipality of Red Lake hereby consider sections 4.1 to 4.5 read and adopt the items. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. It's been moved by Councillor Hager, seconded by Councillor Baduk. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation Municipality of Red Lake hereby consider all bylaws, section 5 of the Part 1 consent agenda as read without amendment or debate a first and second time. All those in favor? Carried. And does any councillor have any questions? And I'll start with Councillor Hager. Councillor Christoph, Councillor Geary, and Councillor Baduk. It's been moved by Councillor Geary, seconded by Councillor Christoph. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation Municipality of Red Lake hereby consider all bylaws, section 5 of the Part 1 consent agenda as read a third time and passed. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you.
I note that we've amended the.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Now we'll go down to referred and deferred items under agenda item 6.1, the Ontario Provincial Police Report. And I'm making an assumption, Councillor Christoph would like to do an introduction. Okay, floor is yours.
Thank you. So I forwarded on the report. So this had to do with the quarterly report that the inspector in the OPP would give us Inspector Illman was just wanting some clarification on what we would like to see in that report, if there were any changes that we needed. So he forwarded on to me one that, he prepared when he was driving. So I sent that on to everybody to review, so you can see what they did. If there was anything we wanted to change on how we always did ours. So I guess with that, for me, I actually really like this report. It had good highlights, talked about what they did. There was some, these are some good things that happened. They did talk like on there about trends. So if there's any trends, because our previous reports were very technical. And it was like this percent decrease over this quarter compared to the same time frame in last quarter. And it was just a lot of percentages and it was just hard to follow, especially if you don't have it in front of you and you're looking at it. A lot of that's interesting because it's still interesting to hear what's going on in your community. And I do think we should still have the trends. So if there's anything that's happening a lot, or if there's certain areas that, so like the highways, their stats have shown that they've been doing a lot of stopping on the highway for speeding but over the last few years, we've had some pretty bad accidents on the highway because of speeding. So that's a good thing, I feel. So they're doing a lot of education in that, right? So I like that in this report, you know, the foot patrols, talk about the foot patrols they did. The more community-minded services to touch on that. So anyways, my thought, I like how he did this. It was a good report, so I would like to see something like this. That's my thought. So I'm open. Like to hear from everybody else on what you guys would all like to see.
For sure. Councillor, questions?
I really do like the layout of this. I just would like more information, because for example, you talked about the crisis response team. It just tells you what it does. That's nice, but I'd like to know how many calls to service did they have? What the dates of that could have been in our area. Again, property crime, violent crime, you know, a little data here. Again, what are the dates? When did this happen? I don't know if we want to do a comparison from other time so that we can see in our area if we've got some trends over time. And I love the involvement here of community engagement events. I don't know if we want to talk about hours. I don't know if we want to talk dates. I mean, here's just a whole list. Like, I don't know, were they at 5 minutes at one and 2 hours at another? It'd be nice to know how much time is spent at some of our events. That's just me.
That's something with, through you to the council, when you say specific dates, are you talking about?
But like November till April or whenever
Not
we're
for the-
talking in a
okay.
time period like that.
Wouldn't it be like
It
the
would-
half year?
It'd be, well, this one is, we usually do a quarterly
We do
report.
Like, yeah,
So it would be for that quarter.
okay, whatever, yeah, as long as we knew kind of what.
May I ask one more question?
Certainly.
Would, is that the pictures and the data, putting them together 4 times a year, is that an onerous task or not? Or
Well, this report said biannual, so twice a year.
That's what I'm saying, but if
Yeah.
we're, this is great, I love this. But if we're expecting something with this much detail and pictures and everything,
And
4 times a year, is that?
that's quite a bit, in my opinion, but I would also suggest, with some of the change of reports of council, if there was something, changing, Councillor Christoph could make council regards, some different OPP stats, or if there's some trend that's been talked about through that committee. And I can throw it over to you, Councillor Christoph.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And, sorry, there was a question you had there.
It was the, reporting 4 times a year.
So,
Yes.
so for Dryden, they just did twice a year.
Right,
But from speaking with Inspector Illman, it wasn't an onerous task. All this data is already there for them. It'd be a little bit of time to get the pictures and all that, but a lot of it is already there for them, and they have templates that are already set up. I don't think it just so happened Dryden did it twice a year. We're doing it quarterly. I can ask them, but my feeling was that it wasn't gonna be like 100 hours of work to get it put
Okay,
together,
thanks.
so.
Councillor Geary.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have to have these exact same layout. I mean,
Yes.
we don't have to have all the photos. I mean, and you're right, computers nowadays, they can pull lots of data press, so I can't see this being an onerous task.
So the question before Councilor Padu, go ahead.
The only thing that I personally would like to see added would be the it was the drug charges.
Right?
Yeah. I think that's pretty big in the community. A lot of people bring that up and it would just be a good thing to know, especially as a parent. You know, everyone kind of hears there's stuff going on, just kind of know like when there are people being there, like if there are people being charged. It's that's a good to see.
And just to stay on Councillor Padu's thought, because I was going to say something as well to go on that trend with DUIs, because we've had a lot of issues with the DUIs. So it'd be good just to have that kind of information, you know, the trend up, down, because I think last year we had quite a few, and then thus stop with the ride, and then that enhances the ride programming and the checks and all those things. So the question I have for council, and of course through Councillor Christoph, is a biannual report satisfactory with Councillor Christoph bringing us updates through council reports if there's different trends or something happening, or would council like to see this happen more than biannually? That's the question I have. How is everyone good with biannual reports with updates from Councillor Christoph? Or would you like to see more?
I feel that if they're giving reports, I would like to see more.
Like or not quarterly, but every 4 months, like.
So they're, yeah,
Oh, no, every.
No, every
3
three.
months.
Quarterly.
3 months.
What happens if we did it every 4 months? What makes 3 reports versus?
Yes, so it would be good if we could match that or coincide that with the police board, because we meet quarterly for the police.
Good point.
So it would be nice if when that was presented, it was after that meeting, because then.
Right. Okay. So what would that recommendation?
So it's just basically status quo.
Yes. Status quo.
Yeah, one thing, when we had, the reports are obviously always part of our agenda, but given what Councillor Paduch was saying, like public wants to know, well, we never, how do they ever get the information? Like if this is a great report, it would be, is this something that we can put out? Not in the yellow pages, but like just on our Facebook page or something, I don't know.
But it would be attached to the minutes, right? So
Yes,
they
but
could,
how many people, that's my question. How
well,
many
but
people look at that?
OPP through their community services are publishing stats, so
it's, yeah,
but I don't know how often they're coming.
Okay.
So we want to keep it status quo.
I think so. I still like that because if anything comes up, at least you're being told it then instead of waiting another 3-4 months. Mind you, if I give an update as well, it would,
In between, yeah.
it would be the same sort of thing anyway, so.
Okay, so we're gonna keep status quo. All right,
We got there.
we got it. Got there. Okay, great. Thank you.
Status quo, but with a different style of reporting.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Great. And thank you for all that work, Councillor Christoph. Appreciate it. Okay, moving down to reports of council, we'll start with Councillor. Has anything to report at all?
The updates from Trout Forest, Interfor. For our area, it concerns our Red Lake Forest operations, which there's not much going on. There's gonna be some tree planting, maybe some spraying this summer. And White Forest. Isn't too much going on. I think they're still looking for a contractor. The last I heard, that was the end of last month, so. Probably won't hear anything if they did it for a contract, not. And then there was still some archaeological stuff going on. So whether or not the fire, should put a delay some of that stuff. So until that's done. So there's still some process going on. And for the home for the aged, we break for the summer as well, but our last meeting was at the end of June. There's a couple of highlights, just for Northwoods itself, came across. Some of the government funding that came out was almost just shy of $70,000 invested in Northwoods, from the government. It should come out of the general operating budget, but it's good. And then the last year, the sprinkler systems have been, they've spent, I think it was just over 200,000 on the sprinkler system. To bring them up to code. Recently, there's been some plumbing issues, one that's done, and in the last meeting, we asked for the budget to get the other side. Another close to 100,000. It's a couple of big jobs. So there's stuff getting fixed. Aging building, stuff breaks down, stuff gets fixed.
For sure. Great, thank you very much. Councillor Geary.
Library board, Science North visited the library board on July the 3rd from 1 to 3. It was very well attended. There was approximately 50 people there. Each library has 3 Ontario Park day passes for anyone to sign out. Both libraries held craft events. They share that information on Facebook. Unfortunately, there was low attendance, but you can't give up, right? Keep trying new crafts, new times, and new dates. May was the butterfly habitat showing, so local residents were encouraged to pop in to see how they were changing. We do still require another member on our board. We did have 2 meetings canceled because we did not have quorum. And the library, Red Lake Public Library Facebook page shares new books from both sites. We were on a break for the summer. We did not have a meeting in May or June due to not having quorum. Heritage Board. Yay! The board is open on Saturdays for people to come in, and people are excited about that. They have been shown some increase, of course, of people coming in, especially to the different events. Everyone was excited about the municipal CAO addressing the board at the last meeting about the merger with the municipality. Of course, with combined efforts, there will be dissolving of that organization and the board, creating a new committee to act in best interests. And we are happy that the CAO will be attending our meeting again this week. Of course, 100-year celebration. There were over 30 artists that contributed to the banner project, and Promohawk was going to be the support for printing those materials. Of course, a grand opening at the Heritage Center will be on Saturday, 26th. On the 8th, we hired a summer student. There's a summer passport program created where families can go to different businesses throughout our community and get stickers. They put the stickers on this little passport, and when it's filled, they bring it to the center, a chance for winning a prize. There have been free summer crafts that have been successful. They had bubble art July the 10th, and aviation aircraft. A craft was done on July the 19th from 1 to 3. I have been able to attend different public events, library several times. Of course, whenever you stop at the transfer station, you're always listening to some of our employees telling us a lot of the positive things they see, and of course, a few things always they love to chat about. Had some time participating in the Norseman Festival. And of course, I'm ready to help behind the scenes for the anniversary coming up with some of the beautiful meat cheese trays we're making. And I have an event that I've organized for the Friday afternoon. So that'll have me busy from 1 to 4:30 at the Legion. We're going to showcase some of the different sporting activities that occurred during that time where we're selling, special refreshments and all kinds of stuff. So we're looking forward to having that opportunity as well.
Thank you for that report. Councillor Hager's next.
I'll do the two committees, so Truth and Reconciliation, even though I sit on it with, Mayor Moda. We did have a recent resignation also from our committee, so that will be going out. Request for a new member. Brenda Gignac, our communications person, she has updated our calls to action along with the help of our CAO. This it's a fantastic visual because it shows we've picked 5 calls to action that we've been working on for about the past 4 years or so. And I mean, the call to action number 57 is the one that we spend the most time on because that's that education piece, not only educating staff, but also educating the community, et cetera. But what I like about this is because it says whether it's being completed, whether it's in progress, and who the lead is. So I think this is a great document. Looking into friendship accords right now with neighboring First Nations communities. What else? We have been on the trying to get this sign up. We had contracted Patrick Hunter, 2 years ago, I believe, to come up with a design concept. It went back and forth and back and forth. We finally, he recommended, once it was approved, that it be built by a Sumneros company. So we are just waiting for delivery and have it put up. But the plan is that once it's actually here and erected, we are going to have some sort of a celebration, a ceremony in front of it. As well, actually, members from the Truth and Reconciliation Committee, I believe, are doing part of the opening on Saturday. Okay. This is for the 100th. Also stay tuned for September 30th because the Truth and Reconciliation Day, there will be activities taking place. And the other committee that I'm on is the Family Health Care Committee. We are, along with the great assistance of our CAO, Michelle, are in the process of updating the mandate and the terms of reference for that particular committee, because we have had some changes with the structure and it's time to do that. And as far as whether we have a new doctor, we believe it, right? Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. And Councillor Christo.
Yeah, so Northwestern Health Unit, they do send out material on that, but they're focusing on education and prevention, highlighting some of the like measles, some of these diseases that were eradicated are now coming back and are prevalent. And so they're trying to get in front of that so we don't have another pandemic like we did. Working with a lot of groups and trying to always lobbying to try and get more funding. A lot of stuff we can't discuss, but Dr. Kit and the health unit team are very busy, and they're very good at what they do. And so it's it's prevention and how especially trying to fight or advocate on the behalf of, we have such a huge area. I think like for the number of health units that are in region that we are, Thunder Bay, Kuwait, our area, and the amount of people that it's spread out, and you know, it's hard to get everywhere and to do everything, and it's so expensive. So they are actually making headway and for the ministry to understand that, yes, that there are special things up in our area that we are going to need more money to get to these things done. And it's proven that the work that they're doing, especially with dental care and going into the schools with the fluoride and everything, is working, and it helps. So so that's always good on that. Highlighting certain things like mental health, they're really focusing on mental health, especially in the schools, with programs on that. So that's always good. On the police board is the other one that I sit on. So we just had a meeting last week. We're still in the infancy stage. We're still trying to figure things out with the new rules and regulations and how the boards have changed. But we had good discussions, and part of the report was discussing some of the initiatives that they're taking. How every morning they, Kanshkom, Ear Falls, Red Lake, they're all in a meeting together. Some of it is Zoom. But they have a discussion first thing in the morning, everybody there as a team discussing what the plan is, what they're working on, what they're going to do kind of thing. They're getting out more into the community and doing foot patrols. And I don't know if people have noticed, but even in Bombertown and Red Lake, you'll see officers walking around, engaging community members and that, trying to just promote that relationship. They are understaffed and they are trying to work towards that. And they have a younger officer that is working on the communications aspect of it. Where he just got his drone license and he's gonna be doing advertising for the OPP. To OPP to try and say, you should move up to Red Lake and here's the reasons why, kind of thing, to kind of, they're using the Red Lake municipality, the one with the CCDC for promotion, but this one is more focusing on the OPP themselves because they have stopped where before we used to have to do the 4-year stint. If you did it 4 years and your first post was in a northern community, they don't do that anymore. So you've definitely seen a shift of people not wanting to come up into the north because of that. So they're trying different ways to get that so that they can get more people to move up, which I think is a brilliant idea. So I'm hoping that'll all work out. Yeah, so anyways, it's good. They're talked about the stats of the speeding, how I mentioned earlier, how they're really focusing on that and trying to slow that down. They had some stats over the long weekends and how Northwest, like the Red Lake Ear Falls attachment, our clearance rates, all the good things that we're doing, we're higher than the Ontario average. So it just shows, even though we're understaffed, everyone is doing a really great job in performing their duties. So Inspector Illman is up. Is it Jason Martin? Yes, and forgive me, I'm not too sure if what his sergeant,
I think he's acting.
and right now he is working alongside Inspector Illman, learning that role as well. And Mr. Lammy is in Dryden, kind of doing the same sort of thing. So things are looking up. They're doing a lot of cross training and everything. So, and as we progress, the next meeting will be a little bit better. We'll be further along into how all this, because there's still some boards that still have not met and still do not have insurance even. So we're getting there. It'll take a little bit of time, but it's coming.
We're well far advanced of others.
Yes, we are very much.
Well, thank you for that, Councillor Christoph. In my report, I have a bunch of different things to share with you. Just in regards to KDSB and the transitional housing for seniors, still on time for later in the fall. The real discussion right now is who's going to be providing services in the actual home once it's erected, ready to move forward. There's been a discussion with Home for the Aged in regards to who's going to provide services to that home. And there was a signed agreement recently with KDSB and Home for the Aged. That being said, earlier today, I'm just kind of going in a bit of an order here. Earlier today, the CAO and myself, we had a very brief meeting with Charlie Mattina and the ADM Richard Scott from Northern Development and Growth. He's doing a tour of Northwestern Ontario. We met briefly and we spoke about a lot of things, but the main focus was our Cochenour Arena, on how we're going to require potential funding if we move in that direction with council. Our economic growth, our opportunities for Red Lake, and the future of Nungusser Road. And I'm starting to use the term investment versus asking for funding. I'm asking for investments to our community. So we're going to have a chance to follow up with Mr. Scott when we attend AMO. In regards to the 100th anniversary this weekend, I sent an email out earlier just advising everyone in case they were curious about the agenda. It'll be completed tomorrow morning. It'll be sent out to all of council. for all sorts of opportunities to engage with the weekend and everything that is happening over the weekend. And I'm hoping council will participate, engage in all of these activities. You'll see it through the agenda, and then I will follow up with an email to everyone to ask if anyone's willing to participate during any of these activities. So I'll follow up with everything during that. But we do have things scheduled such as a community tour, a pontoon boat ride to the West End to see the West End Red Lake Museum, the Economic Growth Roundtable, as council's already aware of, and a few other events happening. We have Minister Peary attending, Minister Holland, PA Scott from Mines, PA Pinsonneau from Rural Affairs, MP Eric Malello, Lucy Perold, and a couple other staff. One is by the name of Robert Fan coming from FedNor. And there's still a potential of Minister Rickford potentially attending, but he'll be late to the game if he's attending. We're not sure at this time. So yeah, hopefully it's going to be a fantastic weekend and lots of excitement around the community for all the events happening. Everyone's in awe that I've talked to about a free pig roast being put on. So a lot of people are excited even for that event. On July 23rd in the morning, the CAO and I have a discussion with the IESO. We talked a bit about IESO last week during committee of the whole, but this is going to be specific with feedback regarding energy lines through Pickle Lake, Ear Falls, and Red Lake. And anything that comes out of that discussion, of course, we'll share with council, but I think they're looking for some feedback. The Harmony Center anniversary is this week, July 23rd at 1 o'clock. And another exciting thing happening for our community. And before I get ahead, I want to thank staff for all the work they're doing on the 100th anniversary between staff and CCDC. They're doing a fantastic job. Another exciting thing happening for our community, our business community, is IRCC is going to be in town July 27th through the 30th. They're going to be with assistance from staff from the municipality and CCDC, arranging appointments and face-to-face meetings and consultations with businesses that are having challenges in the community with temporary foreign workers and permitting. Also, they're going to be creating a session for people, or for business that is looking to hire potential temporary foreign workers and what's the process they have to go through. So we're trying to be helpful also for our business community and moving things forward. I also received an email and some discussion from the MNR, and Minister Harris is looking to make a stop in Red Lake for a potential day. I don't have a day as of yet scheduled, except that it could be August 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th, because he's going to be potentially attending Red Lake, then going down to Kenora for the KBI Bass tournament that's happening, I guess, during that time, and doing some other tours through there and ending up in Winnipeg. So as soon as I get any information on Minister Harris potentially attending, I'll share that with council as well. We also, as everyone knows, we have a special meeting of council August 13th to talk about our gap analysis study. And we're in the preparation stages of our AMO conference. We're waiting for returns on our delegation requests. And of course, as always, before we leave for AMO, we'll provide council with all the documentation and briefing notes that we're going to speak with the ministers about. And that's what I have for council. Okay, moving forward under administrative reports. CAO is going to present 8.1A, a staff report, CAO 2025-012 contract award official plan and zoning by. I don't see it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, this is a recommendation to appoint a consultant to undertake the official plan and zoning bylaw update. Definitely in some need. The details of the procurement are part of the report, and there was 5 compliant proposals, so that was good news when we see people bidding on projects. And I should say, one of the things that's changed recently is people can submit a proposal by email now. We have a particular for that, where previously it had to be delivered by email or by mail or courier. So this makes it easier for people to bid. So there was 5 proposals that we evaluated. WSP is the successful candidate. And they're ready and willing and able to get started as soon as the contract award is undertaken. And I've worked with WSCP from a civil engineering perspective, but not from a perspective of planning work, but they have qualified staff, they have a good staff. And they'll be undertaking this work. And it could take up to a year. Certainly the official plan is the first part that gets submitted to MMAH, and then they start working on the zoning bylaw, and that's where all the fiddly work is done. That's where you get into the weeds on the zoning bylaw. And we don't think it'll take a lot of time, but the challenge with the timing on this is that we'll be in the middle of an election, and whether council is willing and wanting to make certain decisions with regard to the zoning bylaw, and there will definitely be some updates needed, or whether that will move into 2027. It's hard to say, but it's basically a 1-year plus project. And I think WSP will serve the community well by leading this. So myself and our planning consultant, Chris Jones, will be the lead. Chris did not bid on the project. He's a very small planning organization, and it's actually good news that he didn't, because he's very familiar with Red Lake. So he's going to be able to help guide the process. Our planner, Haddam, is very new to planning, but he's going to be very integrated into the process as well. So he'll be listening and learning and participating where he can. So that's my report. I think this is good news. Another project underway for the municipality.
Any questions of council? Okay. Seeing none. It's been moved by Councillor Christoph, seconded by Councillor Padu, resolved that the Council of the Corporation, the Municipality of Red Lake, receive staff report number CAO 2025-012, contract award, official plan and zoning bylaw update, and further resolved that the Council of the Corporation, the Municipality of Red Lake, hereby awards the contract for the official plan and zoning bylaw update to WSP Thornhill, Ontario, in the amount of $84,350 plus HST. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Further, it's been moved by Councillor Hager, seconded by Councillor Padu, resolved that the Council of the Corporation, the Municipality of Red Lake, hereby consider bylaw number 48-2025 as read a first and second time. All those in favor? Carried. And moved by Councillor Geary, seconded by Councillor Padu, resolved that the Council of the Corporation, the Municipality of Red Lake, hereby consider bylaw number 48-2025 as read a third time and passed. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Okay, going down to item 9 under new business, 9.1 Howie Street. Councillor Padu.
Yeah, that's what we put on the agenda in regards to our 2-hour parking by the club. I've been getting out of hand slowly, and it's starting to be quite a few concerns being brought forward. There are some people who work at businesses who are parking in front of other businesses all day, longer than the 2 hours. Down towards the bank, that area. Not only are they parking in front of businesses, they're parking outside of the painted parking, half in, half out, so they can do it. It's definitely tough for us to enforce other bylaws. Obviously, the intention was for businesses to get away. there are some business owners who are saying, why should I pay for municipal parking when everyone else is just doing whatever? And then as it goes down further, now with Kinross at the far end, picking up a lot of parking space on the street. Turnaround. There are some complaints that there's not enough room for people to park their boats and trailers when they're using that. Yeah, it's just, we gotta come up to the treasure house. Even if they stick to their plan of not parking in front, they have one spot in front. People are gonna pull in and stop in, that's a business, so I think we need to figure out what we're doing there.
Fair comments. Thank you for that, Councilor Perdue, and thank you for bringing that forward. Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have seen what you've seen, so we even have our wonderful OPP working personal vehicles longer than 2 hours. We know that happens. And I know at one time in talking to our clerk that there was enforcement that no longer happens. And part of it is because to enforce parking on Howie Street, you almost need a full-time person. Watching vehicles, says people don't like their tires to be chalk, but you need to put a rock on top or something. People will go and move their vehicle, after an hour and 50 minutes to another location, so the 2 hours starts. I don't know what the answer is. You may need to lead with staff to do a report on what's been done in the past and what opportunities there are. If, I know the vehicle you're talking about where they park half on and half off, and that's a business that's across the street from them. So they don't park in front of their own business, they park in front of someone else's business for the day. They're there from 8 till 4:30, and a lot of the vehicles are there. And I don't know about you, I've experienced when I went to go into the new little restaurant down there and get a sandwich, I was up and down the street twice and then gave up. So she lost my business that day because I'm willing to walk, but there was just no place to park. So I gave up, and it's difficult when business owners maybe park in front of someone else's business, try to leave their space open, but other business owners park in front of them. I don't know what the answer is. We can indeed enforce the staffing, and I'd have to talk to the clerk about that. And will it truly be effective? I know that there's businesses, and you mentioned Kinross, they have a lot of vehicles sometimes. And where do they park? They chose that office space knowing that there's 2-hour parking and knowing that there may not be other parking opportunities for them, but I don't really have an answer for you, other than I've seen what you've seen and what's happened. And maybe our clerk can speak to what has been done in the past. I know maybe you're not prepared, but you have a more familiarity with it than I have in terms of enforcing the 2-hour parking.
So historically, it was the OPP that enforced the 2-hour parking. County took over. Because it was difficult for them to enforce because they themselves were. So we took it over because there was a lot of complaints and it was more education that was being completed. We tried putting stones on tires. The bylaw enforcement officer was downtown and would sit to try and do work for 2 hours on a laptop. And it wasn't really good use of staff resources and time to be sitting there for 2 hours waiting for a vehicle to move and a stone to fall down. And like the CEO had mentioned, people would often move just before the 2 hours and then repark. We did have an issue in parking downtown, but now that one business has moved to highway commercial, there is an empty parking lot. And we have had some refusal of organizations to park there because of the distance. And we have brought a staff report to council proposing parking meters. But I think at the time it was over $600,000 to install. And that proposal did not move forward, obviously. We also brought a proposal to council to change the parking restriction from the library towards government dock so that they would not have to adhere to the 2-hour parking restriction. The rationale behind that was because a lot of the businesses there, with the exception of the Treasure House, are all service related. They're not selling anything other than the Treasure House. That proposal was also not accepted. So we have been looking at options, but we also don't know what to do. So as the field mentioned, you can bring back a staff report with a history of what has gone to council in the past and maybe revisit some other options.
Absolutely.
Question just with regards to the parking meters, was that pre-app? You know how now everybody has.
Yes.
That
So
was,
those were actually the, so I wonder if the price has changed.
I think it was
Yeah, because it's very efficient with having the app on your phone and you have to
Yeah.
actually. Jen.
That's a good point. Go ahead.
I was just gonna agree with you that that's a really good, because like when you go out of town,
Mhm.
hang tag and all these different ones that you have that are just on your phone and you pay for it and
Yeah.
you need to redo it, you just,
Yeah.
so that could be an option.
No, and listening to the CAO yourself, obviously, it's a challenge for our community.
Mhm.
A staff report would be really good. And I would also be interested in our available parking spots that we do have municipally versus how many anchor tenants do we have? To see what our availability is like in that report, just so we could measure how many spots that we do have and don't have.
Might we consider looking at other communities that have the same population base to see if they've thought of something that might be out of the box
Sure.
at this point?
So with, oh, sorry.
I did have a question, if you don't mind, I'd like to, our director of operations, in the winter, are there issues with plowing at 5 in the morning and clearing that?
Yes, there is. I mean, parking is a lot less, but, there's definitely anywhere from, I would say, 3 to 9 cars downtown still. Pretty much from CIBC on. There are, as we know, a few residents that live downtown, whether it's below or above the building. They might have company that night and the cars stay there, and as well, Ken Ross. Sometimes they do have a truck or two that stay the night.
Are we managing that through our bylaw enforcement officer?
Yes.
Or we're going to manage
Yeah,
that?
so last year we were doing the education thing. Now Olivia's here, so we'll be able to.
Thank you for bringing it forward, Councilor. It's always been problematic and it would be nice if we could try to attempt to solve this for all those businesses down there. So with council's direction, we'll ask staff to go back to a report, bring back all sorts of different ideas for council's consideration. And when that's completed, we'll bring it to council for information and see what we can do at that point, if that works for everyone. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for that. It's been moved by Councillor Hager, seconded by Councillor Geary, resolved that the Council of the Corporation, the Municipality of Red Lake hereby adjourns to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.